Alright, today we are learning reviewing how to solve one-step equations. This is page 12F, page 12 on the front. I'll pull that down. Okay. When we're solving one-step equations, you're actually not going to need these first two steps. You'll see these next week when we start reviewing two-step equations and when we start multi-step equations. Today we're either going to complete the third step or the fourth step, and then we're definitely going to do the fifth step. So we will use the third step if we have a constant. Remember, a constant is just a plain number. If we have a constant, the step we use will have a plus or a minus. We'll use the opposite of whatever sign is already there. If we do not have a constant, then we have a coefficient. We'll have to get rid of the coefficient, which will isolate the variable. Isolate just means gets it all by itself. To get rid of the coefficient, coefficients are multiplying or dividing. So we'll have to use multiplication or division to undo the coefficient. Again, you're going to do whatever is opposite of what is already there. After that, we'll definitely have to check ourselves just to make sure that we have the right answers. So, in example 1, I'll call that example 1. Before I do anything, I'm actually going to draw a line down the equal sign to separate my left side from my right side. Here's my variable. My variable is n. And there's a 17 on the same side as n. It's not attached to the letter. It's all by itself, separated by a plus or a minus, so it's a constant. 17 is a standalone number. Right now it's positive, so to undo it, we subtract 17 from that side. That's because 17 minus 17 is 0. So on the left side, you're left with 0 plus n. If we do something to the left side of an equation, we must also do it to the right side of the equation to keep it balanced. And 79 minus 17 is 62. Now we have n equals 62 because you don't actually have to write plus 0. In our check step, this is going to be where we use what we learned yesterday. We rewrite the equation, n plus 17 equals 79. Now I'm going to rewrite this again, but instead of using n, we have a value for n. We'll put a bubble in its place. And inside of that bubble, since I know that n is 62, inside of the bubble we can put 62. Now we just use our order of operations to continue solving that side. 62 plus 17 is 79. There's nothing left to solve on the left side, and the right side is just the number 79. Now this is true. Since this is true, our answer for n is correct. You'll see on both sides of the equal sign we have the same number. That's why it's true. We call that the check number. On Schoology, your assignment is going to ask you for a check number. Your check number is 79 in this example because our very last part of the check step was 79 equals 79. I'll call this example number 2. Here's my equal sign. I'll draw a line down the middle. My variable is W. The number on that side is a -8. Well, that's a constant. To get rid of constants, or to move a constant to the other side of the equation, we use plus or minus. Right now this is a -8, so instead of subtracting, I have to add 8 to both sides because plus is the opposite of minus. Once we do that, -8 plus 8 is 0, and we still have our plus W. On the right side, -6 plus 8 is +2. Now we are left with W equals 2 because we don't actually have to write 0. We're going to check to see if we got this correct. So we'll have our equation. We have to rewrite our equation. -8 plus W equals -6. Instead of W, I can write a bubble. Remember, this plus sign is not part of the W, so I still have that. Now I can fill in my bubble. We think that W is equal to 2, so we put a 2 here. Now I just solve each side like normal using order of operations. Well, -8 plus 2 is -6. And -6 is equal to -6. Since this is true, then W equals 2 is correct. And our check number, is -6 because both sides of the equation are equal to -6. If we get down to our final step and these are not equal, then we did not get this part right. So you would start over here and resolve. Looking at number 3, here's my variable. The variable is M. And I'll draw a line down the middle of my equation. -5 is right next to M. There's nothing that separates them. -5 is the coefficient because this is all one term. -5 is the coefficient, so I'm using multiplication or division to get rid of it. Well, right now, this is -5 times M. So to undo it, we have to divide by -5 on both sides of the equation. -5 divided by -5 is a +1. So our 5's don't cancel out. They're really making 1, and I have 1m on the left side. And on the right side, we have 25 divided by -5, which is -5. I don't have to write when I multiply by 1. So I could just rewrite this as m equals -5. Now we're going to check ourselves. So I rewrite the equation, -5m equals 25. Instead of writing m, I'm going to rewrite this again, but with a bubble in m's place. There's a -5 to the left of the bubble, then I have an equal sign, a 2, and a 5. We think that m is -5, so inside of the bubble I put -5. Then you use order of operations to solve. On the left side, -5 times -5 is a +25. The right side is just the number 25. 25 does equal 25, which means m equals -5 was correct. The number that both sides of our equation came down to equal was 25, so our check number is 25. We'll call this example number 4, and I just want you to look about it and think about what's different. I'm hopefully going to pause the video and we'll talk about what's different. What's different here is the division sign. It looks like a fraction. We don't usually typically like these things. That's okay. This fraction bar tells us to divide. That's what we talked about. The opposite of division, I'm sorry, this is a coefficient because this is all one term. Since this is one term, the division by 3 is a coefficient. So to undo it, I have to multiply or divide. Well, right now what's happening is division. So to undo that, we're going to multiply by 3 on both sides of the equation. What's really happening now, behind the scenes, we have 3 times a over 3. Well, 3 divided by 3 is just 1. So we're left with 1a. If you have a denominator and you multiply a term by the denominator, that makes 1, and you're left with whatever the numerator is. So we'll have 1 times a. And that equals whatever 12 times 3 is, that's 36. Now remember, you don't have to write 1 times the number, you can just write the number, or in this case the variable, which is a, equals 36. Now we have to check ourselves. So I have a over, that's a over 3, sorry, I couldn't read. A over 3 equals 12. I'm rewriting this now, and instead of a, I'm putting a bubble. So I have bubble over 3 equals 12. Inside of that bubble, I'm going to put a 36, because that's what we think a is equal to. Now I have 36 over 3, which is the same as 36 divided by 3, which is 12. And on the right side, we have just the number 12. Well, 12 does equal 12. So this is correct. A does equal 36. And our check number then is 12. On Schoology, you're going to be asked for the solution to the equation and the check number. You do not need to write that the variable equals the number. You do not need to write check number equals 12. Just fill in the blank with whatever number it is.